All right, guys, how exciting. Our next guest is set to headline the UFC's debut card in Saudi Arabia. And again, none other than Khamzat Chimaev in an absolutely massive fight. The former UFC middleweight champion himself, Robert Whittaker. Welcome back, man. Super bright and early. Good morning. How are you, man?
Yeah, very well. Thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, good, man. Good. We're happy to be chatting to you. And while the coffee goes into your veins like it is for all of us right now, I know I'm on my second double shot as we speak. I got to ask, like, when we were initially going to chat to you, it was right after the Easter period. And I know the fight was announced. So how many Easter eggs does one eat knowing they won't be eating chocolate properly for a while as they plan to go into a fight camp? Because usually I'm eating 100 regardless, but I imagine you're like, all right, one time, one opportunity, 8 Mile. I'm gonna go for this.
Yeah, you know what? Funny enough, I didn't have a single chocolate egg.
Oh,
I don't know. I know that if I were to have splurged on Easter Day and had that chocolate, it would have just made everything else punishing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. It's all about hanging on to what you want to, sort of thing. So if I wanted to be able to eat more carbs for longer out, I got to try and trim up a little sooner than later.
Understandable. So what did you do? Did you just watch the whole family eat Easter eggs and just sit there disciplined?
Yeah, you know, it's more of a day for the kids anyway. The Easter bunny comes to town and hides a bunch of eggs everywhere. So you know, the Easter bunny has to get up real early to do that, man. so it's a busy time.
Mm.
Oh, dude, I can imagine. And also, I don't know if you saw, man, but before we get into it, the UFC, they did a pretty cool intro thing heading into UFC 300 where there was a bunch of fantasy matchups. They kind of created them, I guess, with like CGI or whatever. But we had Khabib Tony, of course, that never happened. Sean Strickland, Nick Diaz, that would have been an interesting one. DC Mark Coleman, that's pretty cool. And they had a few more. I got to ask, man, like when you think about yourself, if you were in that intro, is there someone like a fantasy matchup, perhaps even like a legend from the past that you think would have made like a cool little montage for yourself and someone else?
I don't think so. There isn't really anyone that I've been dreaming to fight. You know, there was a period, I think, when I was supposed to fight GSP, and I would have loved that fight just to have been able to test my mettle on him.
Yeah.
At that time, but it's fighting one of those things. I don't really dream of fighting people.
Well, you've been doing it for that long. I imagine it's like it's a little bit different. It's not in that fantasy matchup realm at this point, anyway. But here you are, man. Khamzat Chimaev. So last time we spoke, it was looking, well, you wanted Perth, not specifically Sean Strickland, but just on that Perth card. And now we're Saudi Arabia, Khamzat Chimaev. How did we get here, man?
Yeah, so more or less, I got a message saying, "Hey, this is in the air. Do you want it?" And I was like, "Well, mate, perfect timing." I think it was about 12, 13 weeks out from the date. First card in Saudi Arabia, five round fight is what it is. You know, I like being the main event, and you know, with that comes 2 extra rounds. Yeah. So yeah, that is what it is. But I'm looking forward to it. I understand that beating Khamzat gets me a title shot, and I'm in the fight game. I'm looking for hard fights. I'm looking to test myself and to make myself better. And this is how I've created my legacy, and this is how I want my legacy to be written. So taking a hard fight against Khamzat in Saudi Arabia, which is, you know, history in the making, first big card there. And I've never fought there. I like fighting in places I've never fought before. You know, it's part of the perks of being in this company. So yeah, everything kind of just all the boxes were ticks, right? Everything lined the way for me. And another payday in the first quarter can't hurt.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, all through your career, basically leading into the title, you took out most of the contenders, and then again, you took out all the contenders, and here we are again. You're taking out all the toughest guys in the division. It's funny though because you're one of the guys at Khamzat actually didn't really want to fight. I remember in one of the press conferences, he said you're one of the good guys, and he's got a ton of respect for you. What do you think of the respect and the appreciation he has for you, especially considering he doesn't really think that about many other people in the organization outside of you?
Yeah, no, it's upsetting to a degree. It's like I thought that was cool as well. I remember the interview and I remember speaking about it, and I think that's cool. You know, me and him against the world sort of thing. We can take out all the bad guys together. But unfortunately, in such a small group of guys, you're going to cross paths, you know. And all I can say is like we're going to get in there and we're going to have an honorable fight. We're going to test our mettle on each other, and we're both going to come out of this better for it. And then we can just go back to beating bad guys the way we were.
100%, man. Out of curiosity, like, did you get any context to why Khamzat? Like, because, you know, I think Sean Strickland was looking for a fight, or at least he wants a title rematch. But, like, was there any explanation of, like, why they want Khamzat and why you and him in Saudi Arabia?
There was no context given, but you know, if I switch on my big brain for a second, you know, I think the fact that there was a Saudi Arabia card coming up, and that the fact that Khamzat is you know, he's a favorite in that region, and he's fought in that region a few times, makes a lot of sense. I think my own popularity is decent enough in that region, so and I think they want the first card to be. They want eyes on it. They want it to be a success. They want people to go to it in Saudi Arabia. So it makes perfect sense to me. Not perfect sense, but like it makes sense. You know, it's a card that people are going to be watching and they're going to be interested in. It's going to be a tricky fight.
Well, you mentioned how this like hopefully leads to a title. What did the UFC give you any guarantees here though? Because I guess from Casper's perspective and of some people's perspective, they might say, all right, like there could be a real scenario here where DDP and Israel fight in August. You know, if DDP beats Israel, let's say, you know, Sean tries to position himself for a rematch or something like that. So did the UFC give you any guarantees here to say, hey, all right, it's Khamzat, he might not be ranked or whatever, but this is the fight for the title? You win.
I think it's pretty clear cut for me if you just look at the way things line up. You heard Dana speak about it online that this was the number one contender shot.
Yeah.
But also, like, I beat Khamzat, that's I get a title shot. There's no other possibilities. I don't think Sean will be rewarded for sitting on the sidelines. The UFC don't really like playing that. But you know, at the end of the day, they can do whatever they want. Like that's the company. Like at the end of the day, these are all just hypotheticals. I'm going there to fight Khamzat because that's my job. That's what I enjoy doing. That's how I earn money and put bread on the table for my family. So that's what I'm going to do. And that fight will make me better. And mate, it's really simple. Let's just keep it simple.
I was going to say, is it better or worse than fighting on the Perth card in, say, like the co-main event or on the same card as the title shot? You had the potentially Sean in Perth or this one. Is this a better or worse sort of option for you?
It's always better. It's always better because I want it to be active. And I've always said that I like to fight more regularly, but it's all depending on my life around it, right? And the fact that this popped up and I'm in good health and I had just fought not too long ago, so I'm still in condition and, you know, it's still 12 weeks away. It's in a place I've never fought. Like I said, all the boxes was just starting to get ticked. And yeah, I'm excited. August is a fair way away, and I started feeling it just in the gym when I was back at it. I was like, man, August is a far way away. Like it's 6 months away, so it's kind of always looming, but I was always preparing for it, sort of thing. So now, I don't know. Now I got direction. I know what I'm doing, and yeah, I've got a goal.
You think also like activity and consistency as well is like a key here? Like, not that this is the only example, but like you saw Anthony Joshua, for example, right? And he's just been sort of looking better and better and better every fight. I know McGregor was talking about that. And it like sometimes it feels like it's hard for certain fighters to get that momentum when it's always like, you know, on the sidelines. And like you had this like crappy period where like people just fell out and things just weren't happening. Do you feel like it also ticks the boxes as well? Because it's like, I'm fighting again and I'm doing it so soon. Like it feels like you just took out Costa the other day. Now already going up against Khamzat.
Yeah, I definitely think there is something in being active, in fighting regularly. Like it just keeps your senses and your instincts and your ability to fight sharp. And I've always wanted to fight regularly, but again, things happen, life happens, and I think that's the case of a lot of people. But I am happy to be able to get back in there and to just be able to test myself once again. Like I said, everything is feeling good. My headspace is great. I just come off a win. Like I haven't fought too long ago. I feel fit. I'm going to jump back into camp. Still got 12 weeks, which is like more than enough time to just really sharpen the skill set again. And yeah, mate, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I guess the good thing as well is, and we'll get into the fight in a second, but if things go your way, you could still be in Perth, like cage side, and potentially like cement the fact that you'll be fighting for the title against the winner. Maybe do that whole thing where they get in the octagon and all that. But, come on, I can see you doing it.
No way.
Do a bit of a laugh.
Hell, I've always hated that, dude.
What is it about that moment that because I remember like you and Bisping had that awkward one, and Bisping tried to like make it a thing, and you were just like, I just played it up. What is it about that moment that you're like, I don't know, man, I'm just not a fan?
It looks staged. You know what I mean? Like
you mean Brock Lesnar in DC was staged? No way. Come on.
It's like, and the dudes just had a fight, and you're coming up probably on the terps, you're like fresh, like relax, dude, give him a break.
Yeah.
Why don't you wait till he's in the back room getting checked up medically? you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, or just like jump out from under the ring with a chair. He's in the octagon.
Yeah.
He's in the octagon. But I was going to ask you, like, what do you think about Izzy and DDP getting this next, like Izzy versing DDP for this next title shot? Because I guess there are people out there. I'm excited to see it. It's going to be an interesting one, but there are people out there that say as well, it could have been maybe Izzy Strickland 2, or maybe it could have been DDP versus someone else, or maybe things could have structured out a little bit different. Of course, there's a huge narrative there, but what do you think of that being kind of like the fight there in Perth for the title next?
Yeah, I guess Izzy's getting a lot of guff already because of like him getting a title fight again. So I'm not going to jump on that. But DDP's a champ, and he asked for Izzy, and that story and narrative has been like written for a long time now. So, I'm interested in that fight. I'm very curious as to how that actually plays out. I've got ideas in my head, but thinking about one thing and then actually seeing it the next is obviously different.
I was going to say, you fought both guys. What do you think it sort of comes down to?
Mate, I think it comes down to whoever dictates the fight, like whoever's really pushing into the other guy. So I think if Dricus pushes into Izzy and doesn't let Izzy have that space and doesn't let Izzy formulate the way he likes to fight, doesn't give him room to kind of lead the dance, if you would, it's going to be a long night for Izzy, because like we saw that with Strickland Izzy. Strickland did that very well against him. He just pushed into him. He didn't let Izzy find his rhythm, and he won because of it. And Dricus kind of did that against Strickland in their fight. And I think Dricus can do it. It's just how much damage is he going to take trying to push Izzy? And that's the $1 million question. But that was a $1 million question when Strickland fought Izzy.
It's a fascinating one, and I'm happy that like we get a big fight, a title fight. I thought we were going to get a fight night for a while, to be quite honest. That's kind of what I was hearing. So I'm happy that it's yet again a pay-per-view, a big one. I know you're very much focused on the task at hand, and we'll speak about Khamzat in a second, but do you have a preference just because you fought both guys? I imagine they're both fights that you'd like to get back. Do you have a preference? In the ideal Rob story of getting the title back, who would it be against in Israel or DDP in those rematches?
Yeah, probably DDP. It's like the freshest wound, if you would.
Yeah.
And I just feel like in our first fight, I could have done better.
Yeah, man, for sure. And just on a sort of serious note, and just speaking of doing better, did you know that one man every hour, every day is diagnosed with testicular cancer? In fact, testicular cancer is the most common form of cancer amongst men aged 15 to 35. And with April being National Testicular Cancer Awareness Month, our good friends at Manscaped have partnered with the Testicular Cancer Society to help spread awareness for men's health and early cancer detection. You can check out manscaped.com/TCS to learn how to check yourself for early signs of cancer. And as always, you can use the promo code submission to get 20% off if you're buying some fun toys for yourself. With this in mind, you can perform simple routine self-checks at home while enjoying Manscaped products that you use every day, such as the Lawnmower 5.0. I mean, it makes sense, right? We use products daily to trim and maintain our boys down there. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra features 2 interchangeable skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little bit off the top, and a new foil blade to go smooth and sleek. And with its dual LED spotlights, you'll achieve better visibility, making every trim more precise and hassle-free. And if you don't like making a mess, this thing is waterproof, so you can shave in the shower, in the bath, in the ocean, or even, I don't know, spelunking in a cave if you choose. And you can bring this trimmer wherever you go thanks to its wireless charging capabilities and travel lock feature. How good is that? And in addition to providing the right tools and solutions for comfortable and easy grooming, Manscaped is committed to raising awareness and giving support for fighters, survivors, and families impacted by testicular cancer, which is why they'll be donating $50,000 to the Testicular Cancer Society. Good stuff, isn't that right, Dennis?
That's right, Cass. Such an important subject, and I'm really proud of Manscaped for stepping up and putting it out there. Make sure to get yourself checked, guys, and stay on top of it. It's one of the most important things you can do. I'm also really excited to announce that we're back on board with NordVPN. Of course, as you know, NordVPN is one of the best VPNs out there that you can use, and you guys can try out NordVPN today. Get 4 extra months in the 2-year plan at no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee by going to nordvpn.com/submission. And I mean, this is an absolute must. If you guys don't have a VPN right now, what are you doing right now? People are trying to steal your credit card information. They're trying to take your passwords. They're trying to take your online identity. Don't worry about that anymore thanks to NordVPN. You can change your virtual locations, allowing you to save money by purchasing flights, hotels, subscriptions from other countries at cheaper prices. I personally love to switch my location to enjoy different programs and streaming services, and also content online that you can't access because you're geo-locked in Australia. Don't fall victim to the fact that you can't watch all your favorite shows until 5, 6, 7, 8 days later, or watch all your favorite fights, for example, that are on Twitter or X or Instagram or wherever it may be because you're geo-blocked. Or what about programs that aren't available down here just yet? NordVPN opens a world for you and saves you a lot of money. Of course, the threat protection feature, protects you from viruses, malicious malware, and phishing sites. And of course, it's one of the fastest VPNs in the world. No buffering, lagging while streaming. It stops your ISP bandwidth throttling. And one NordVPN account can be used up to 6 devices. That's right. So, I mean, for basically the price of a cup of coffee per month, you guys have one of the best VPNs out there, one of the best apps as well. It's nordvpn.com/submission. I guarantee you guys are going to love it. Try it today with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. I mean, you just cannot go any better than that. But Rob, just going back to you and Khamzat, I saw Joe Rogan spoke about the fight briefly, and he mentioned how this is a real test at middleweight for Khamzat because, you're a big middleweight compared to Kamaru Usman, for example, and you're kind of the first ranked true middleweight. Real challenge that Khamzat will be facing in the division. How do you think Khamzat handles someone with your size, but also the fact that you've got that crazy speed as well that you bring into the octagon?
Hopefully not well.
Ideally.
Yeah. It's hard to say. He's a rangy striker, not particularly like outstanding there, but he's got knockout power and he's got length. And he uses that to an effect to be able to get into his clinching and grappling, which is his strength, right? Mate, it's about trying to be light on the feet, trying to move him around and sting him when you can, and control the spacing. I think that's going to be the key to victory in this fight, is going to be controlling the spacing.
Yeah, 100%, man. And then I think like one of the biggest also fascinating questions is, you touched on this before, the fact that it's 5 rounds, not 3. It's his first 5-round fight. You're no stranger to 5 rounds. How do you think he sort of handles that? Because one of the criticisms on him is just, well, how does he do later in the fight? What are you expecting there?
Yeah. I hope he doesn't handle it well.
Yeah.
But I expect him to be fit and ready. If everybody was saying, "Hey, Rob, you gas all the time. Oh, this is a 5-round fight, not a 3-round fight. Right? Like, your opponent's never gassed. I'm doing nothing but cardio, right?" And I expect that with him as well. Just like when I fought Costa, it seemed like he had patched up just about every weakness he had, or the most glaring weaknesses he had when we fought. So you got to be prepared for the worst.
And I was also going to say, like, for you, what do you think is the biggest difference between 3 rounds and 5 rounds? And I'm curious how this sort of pertains to Khamzat, because it's not only about pacing yourself, but it's also like someone like Khamzat, who is so offensively focused. I wonder if in the fight it's going to make him a little bit more reactive instead of offensive or proactive, in order to conserve more energy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It is really hard to say, because that's like the pacing is definitely different, but also the mental stamina needed is different, because when you're sitting in the corner in the third and you know you've got 2 left, it's tiring. And when you go out there in the fourth, it's tiring. And then you know you've got 5 minutes left when you're sitting in the corner in the fourth. It is a different beast.
You know, it's one of those things where, like, I think you're one of the hardest guys to try to figure out a game plan for in the UFC, like, because your skill set is obviously so well-rounded and you're so hard to beat. I wonder, when you think what Khamzat's game plan might be against you, do you think he's going to primarily try to make it on the feet? Do you think he's going to try and conserve some energy early and try and slow it down? Or do you think he's going to try and shoot in and try his luck there? What do you think he thinks his path to victory might be against you?
I reckon he'll be switching his stance a lot. He'll be trying to keep his punches straight line, and he'll be waiting for a blitz to shoot under. Like, that's what I reckon. Because I reckon if he doesn't do any of that, then he's in trouble.
Yeah, solid, man. And I was going to also ask, wait, overall, what do you want to show in this fight? Because it's a huge one, it's a massive one, and obviously, like, Khamzat being undefeated, it's such a like ripe opportunity to sort of like make a statement. Ideally, what do you want to show and prove in this one?
Yeah, I want to show my medal. I want to get out there, and I want to show how good I am. I want to show the world that, you know, I'm going to get that belt back.
Is there any upside also to like being the first one to beat Khamzat? I know he's not like a former champion or anything like that. He's not like a John Jones or anything, but in the back of your mind, is there part of like, hey, this is going to be awesome to like be the first guy to actually get the win here against him?
I don't really worry about things like that.
Yeah.
Everybody's undefeated until they're not.
Yeah.
All right, man. Hey, I was going to say, the crazy thing about this fight as well is, I don't know if you have had a look online, but people are basically predicting this to be, you know, one of the most epic UFC matchup battles in history. Like, everyone is already pumped about this one. And we can't wait, dude. Just quickly as we wrap, I know we're focused on Khamzat, but timeline-wise, how many more times are you hoping to get into that octagon this year? If you come out unscathed and things go to playing against Khamzat, because I know you like to stay active. Yeah. You like to get in there, you know, as much as you can.
At least once. So if I can, you know, God willing, come out of the Chimaev fight healthy, hearty, and with a W, then at least one more time this year,
Sick, dude. As we let you go, what's the early prediction, early pick? How do you see this one going down between you and Khamzat?
I reckon. Oh, mate, this is tricky. Oh, mate, I don't want to say it, but I think the most likely outcome is just a 5-round war.
Yeah.
But I don't want a 5-round war, dude.
Yeah.
I'd love to get in there and just put him away in the first minute, but he's a tough dude, and I think this is going to be a tough fight. So, yeah.
Well, man, I'll tell you, we're very lucky for this fight to come together, man. We can't wait to watch it, guys. In Australia, you guys can check out Robert Whittaker taking Khamzat Chimaev June 23rd. And, of course, follow the man at Robert Whittaker MMA for all the latest updates. I'm sure there's going to be some awesome teas and things coming up. Of course, your podcast as well, man, which is awesome. And thanks so much for joining us, dude. Really appreciate it. Can't wait to see what happens in this fight and the lead up to it.
Thank you very much for having me.